There's a type of calm that terrifies people, not the fake calm of someone suppressing their emotions, not the dead calm of someone who's given up. I'm talking about the calm Jung discovered in people who had integrated their shadow, a calm so deep it makes everyone around them uncomfortable. You've met these people. They don't react when you'd expect them to explode. They don't defend themselves when attacked. They sit in silence without fidgeting, and something about their presence makes you aware of your own inner chaos. Jung called this the stillness of the self. What happens when you stop fighting your unconscious and start working with it? And he discovered something fascinating. This kind of calm doesn't just change you. It fundamentally disturbs everyone around you. I'm going to show you exactly why this happens, how to develop this kind of unshakable calm, and why it's the most powerful psychological state you can achieve. But warning, once you understand this, you'll see why most people will do anything to avoid developing real inner calm. Because real calm means facing everything inside you that isn't calm. And that's where things get interesting. Here's what nobody tells you about anxiety, reactivity, and inner chaos. It's contagious, and it's the default state for almost everyone. Look around. Everyone's triggered by everything. A text message sends people spiraling. A comment ruins their entire day. A minor inconvenience becomes a crisis. People are walking around like exposed nerves, ready to react to the slightest stimulation. Jung saw this everywhere. People completely controlled by their complexes, their emotions, their unconscious patterns. They think they're in control, but they're actually puppets dancing to strings they can't even see. And here's the disturbing part. This chaos is considered normal. Being stressed is normal. Being reactive is normal. Being internally scattered is normal. Living in a constant state of low-grade panic is normal. So, when someone shows up who's genuinely calm, not pretending, not suppressing, but actually calm from the depths of their being, it's like dropping a stone in a pond of anxiety. The ripples disturb everything. Jung discovered this in his own life. After his confrontation with the unconscious, after integrating his shadow, after doing the deep inner work, he developed a quality of presence that made people deeply uncomfortable. Not because he was trying to, but because his calm reflected their chaos back to them. Think about the last time you were around someone truly calm during a crisis. Not someone who was checked out or didn't care, but someone who was fully present and completely unruffled. Didn't it make you more aware of your own panic? Didn't part of you almost resent their composure? That's because real calm is a mirror, and most people hate what they see in it. Jung discovered something that changes everything. Real calm doesn't come from controlling your emotions. It comes from integrating them. Most people try to achieve calm by suppression. They push down their anger, swallow their fear, hide their sadness. They think if they can just control themselves hard enough, they'll be calm. But Jung saw that this creates the opposite. A pressure cooker of unconscious material waiting to explode. Real calm comes from what Jung called integration. You don't reject your darkness, you accept it. You don't fight your shadow, you befriend it. You don't suppress your emotions, you understand them. Here's what this looks like practically. The person with integrated anger doesn't explode or suppress. They have access to their anger when appropriate, but it doesn't control them. They can be fierce without being violent, assertive without being aggressive. Their anger has been integrated into wholeness. Same with fear. The integrated person isn't fearless. That's just another form of unconsciousness. They feel fear, acknowledge it, understand its message, but don't let it drive their decisions. The fear is there, but it's part of the whole, not the dictator. This is why integrated people have such unsettling calm. They're not calm because they don't feel things. They're calm because they've made peace with everything they feel. Nothing in their inner world is at war. I'll give you a perfect example. Jung wrote about a patient who came to him consumed with rage at her ex-husband. She'd spent years either exploding in anger or desperately trying to suppress it. Neither worked. The anger controlled her life. Through inner work, she didn't get rid of the anger. She integrated it. She understood what it was protecting, what boundary had been violated, what part of her needed to be heard. The anger didn't disappear. It transformed into clarity, boundaries, and self-respect. When she encountered her ex-husband again, something remarkable happened. She was completely calm, not the fake calm of someone holding back rage, but the genuine calm of someone who had nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to fight. Her ex-husband, who was prepared for battle, was so disturbed by her composure that he literally couldn't continue the conversation. Her calm made him nervous because it reflected his own inner war. While he was still fighting, she had found peace. While he was reactive, she was responsive. While he was controlled by the past, she was free. This is what Jung meant when he said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." The awakened person has a different quality of calm. It's not empty. It's full of integrated experience, accepted shadow, understood emotion. And this fullness is what makes others so uncomfortable. Here's what Jung understood that nobody talks about. Every reaction you have is giving away your power. When someone insults you and you immediately defend yourself, you've just handed them control. When a situation triggers you and you explode, you've become a slave to that trigger. When you can't sit in silence without reaching for your phone, you're controlled by your inability to be with yourself. Jung called these complex-driven reactions, automatic responses driven by unconscious patterns. And most people are having them all day long. They're not choosing their responses. Their complexes are choosing for them. But here's what happens when you develop real calm through inner work. You stop reacting and start responding. There's a pause, a space, a moment of choice between stimulus and response. And in that space lies all your power. Jung noticed this in truly individuated people. They had an almost eerie ability to not react when everyone expected them to. Someone would attack them verbally, and they'd simply listen. A crisis would emerge, and they'd pause before responding. Chaos would erupt around them, and they'd remain still. This non-reaction isn't passivity. It's not weakness. It's the ultimate power, the power to choose your response rather than have it chosen for you by your unconscious patterns. And this is exactly what makes people nervous, because we live in a reactive world where everyone is triggering everyone else in an endless chain of unconscious patterns. When someone breaks that chain by not reacting, it exposes the whole game. Let me give you a real example that shows how powerful this is. One of Jung's colleagues was in a meeting where he was being aggressively attacked by another psychologist. Personal insults, professional dismissals, the whole thing. Everyone expected him to fight back. Instead, he sat quietly, really listening, occasionally nodding. When the attacker finished, he said calmly, "You might be right. I'll think about what you've said." That was it. The room was stunned. The attacker was completely thrown off. He'd prepared for battle and met no resistance. His aggression had nowhere to land. Within minutes, he was apologizing, backtracking, trying to explain himself. The calm man's non-reaction had completely shifted the entire dynamic. By not playing the game everyone expected, he'd changed the game entirely. But here's the key. This wasn't a technique or strategy. He wasn't pretending to be calm. He genuinely wasn't triggered because he'd done the inner work. He'd integrated his own shadow, faced his own insecurities, made peace with his own inadequacies. There was nothing the attacker could say that he hadn't already confronted in himself. This is why Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When you've truly done this work, when you've faced everything in yourself, other people can't trigger you anymore. Their attacks, their chaos, their projections, they just reveal their own inner state, not yours. And that's terrifying to people who are used to triggering reactions, who need those reactions to feel powerful, who depend on that reactive dynamic to avoid facing themselves. Jung discovered something profound. When you become truly calm, you become a mirror that shows people their own unconscious material, and most people will hate you for it. Think about water. When it's agitated, you can't see anything clearly, but when it's perfectly still, it becomes a mirror. The same thing happens with human consciousness. When you're internally still, you reflect back to people exactly what's going on inside them. This is why being around truly calm people can be so uncomfortable. They're not doing anything to you, but their stillness makes you acutely aware of your own inner noise. Their peace highlights your war. Their integration shows you your fragmentation. Jung experienced this himself. After his years of inner work, people would often become inexplicably emotional in his presence. Not because he was doing anything, but because his calm created a space where their unconscious material could surface. He wrote about patients who would walk into his office completely composed and within minutes be sobbing, raging, or confessing things they had never told anyone. His calm created a container where their chaos could finally be expressed. But here's the thing. Not everyone wants their unconscious material revealed. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding it. So, when they encounter someone whose calm forces them to face themselves, they often respond with hostility. They'll try to trigger you, provoke you, pull you into their chaos. Because if they can make you reactive, they don't have to face what your calm is showing them. If they can disturb your peace, they can avoid seeing their own disturbance. This is why calm people often become targets. The office colleague who never gets ruffled becomes the target of gossip. The family member who won't engage in drama gets labeled as cold or thinks they're better than everyone. The friend who won't join the complaining gets excluded from the group. It's not really about the calm person. It's about what their calm represents. The possibility of peace that others have given up on. The integration others are too scared to pursue. The inner work others are unwilling to do. Jung saw this pattern repeatedly. His calmest, most integrated patients would report increased conflict in their relationships, not because they were causing problems, but because their presence was exposing problems that were already there. One patient, after months of deep inner work, developed such a quality of calm that her anxious husband couldn't stand to be around her. Her peace made him so aware of his own anxiety that he demanded she go back to being stressed. Her calm was literally making him nervous. But here's what's powerful about this mirror effect. While it disturbs those who are avoiding themselves, it deeply attracts those who are ready to grow. People who are ready for their own inner work will be drawn to your calm like moths to a flame. They'll sense in you what's possible for them. This is why Jung's presence attracted serious seekers from around the world. Not because he was trying to attract anyone, but because his integrated calm was a beacon for those ready to do their own work. Here's the paradox Jung discovered. The calmest people are the ones who face their own capacity for chaos. Most people think calm comes from being naturally peaceful, from avoiding conflict, from staying away from darkness. But Jung found the opposite. The people with unshakable calm were the ones who descended into their own unconscious, met their shadow, and integrated their darkness. Why? Because once you've faced your own capacity for evil, for chaos, for destruction, nothing outside you can shock you anymore. Once you've integrated your own shadow, other people's shadows don't disturb you. Once you've made peace with your own darkness, you can be calm in the face of anyone else's. Jung wrote, "No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." The same is true for calm. No one can achieve heavenly peace without first descending into their own hell. This is why surface-level calm is so fragile. The person who's only calm because they've avoided all conflict will shatter at the first confrontation. The person who's only peaceful because they've never faced their anger will explode when pushed too far. The person who seems serene because they've never looked at their shadow will crumble when darkness appears. But the person who's integrated their shadow, they have a different quality of calm. It's not innocent, it's wise, it's not naive, it's experienced, it's not fragile, it's unbreakable. They can be calm in chaos because they've found order in their own chaos. They can face darkness because they've integrated their own darkness. They can handle others' shadows because they've made friends with their own. Let me give you a concrete example. Jung wrote about a therapist colleague who was known for his extraordinary ability to remain calm with the most disturbed patients, violent patients, psychotic patients, patients in complete breakdown. Nothing disturbed his composure. When asked how he maintained such calm, he revealed that he'd spent years in analysis facing his own capacity for violence, madness, and breakdown. He'd met every demon in his own psyche, integrated every rejected part of himself. When his patients showed him their darkness, he recognized it, not as something foreign and frightening, but as something human he'd already met in himself. His calm wasn't despite the darkness. It was because of his relationship with darkness. He could be a non-anxious presence in the midst of others' anxiety because he'd already faced and integrated his own. This is what makes shadow-integrated calm so unsettling to others. It's not the calm of innocence. It's the calm of someone who's seen it all, in themselves first. It's the calm of someone who can't be shocked, can't be triggered, can't be pulled into unconscious patterns because they've made all their patterns conscious. And that terrifies people who are still running from their own shadows. Because if you can be calm while fully aware of your darkness, it means they could too. And that means they have no excuse for avoiding their own inner work. Here's Jung's most powerful discovery about calm. It's contagious, but in a different way than anxiety. Anxiety spreads through unconscious activation. One person's stress triggers everyone else's stress in a domino effect of reactivity. But real calm, it creates space for others to find their own calm. It doesn't impose peace, it invites it. Jung called this holding space, creating a container of calm presence that allows others to process their own unconscious material. Not fixing, not advising, not reacting, just being present with such deep calm that others can finally face what they've been avoiding. This is why Jung's therapeutic approach was so revolutionary, While other therapists were analyzing, interpreting, directing, Jung would often just sit in calm presence, allowing the patient's own psyche to reveal what needed to be revealed. He understood that real transformation doesn't come from someone else's insights. It comes from your own unconscious becoming conscious. And that requires a calm container, a non-reactive presence, someone who won't be disturbed by whatever emerges. When you develop this kind of calm, something remarkable happens. People start changing around you without you doing anything. Your presence alone becomes transformative. The anxious friend starts to settle in your presence. The aggressive colleague finds themselves softening around you. The family member who's always in crisis begins to find their own stability. Not because you're trying to change them, but because your calm creates space for their own integration. But here's the crucial part. This only works if your calm is genuine. If it's a performance, a spiritual bypass, a suppression of your own chaos, it will have the opposite effect. False calm creates more anxiety because people unconsciously sense the suppressed material underneath. Real calm, integrated calm, shadow work calm, that's what transforms. Because it's not asking anyone to be different. It's simply demonstrating what's possible when you stop fighting yourself. Jung witnessed this repeatedly. His most integrated patients would report that their calm presence alone was shifting entire family systems. Without saying a word about anyone else's issues, without trying to fix or change anyone, their integrated calm was creating ripple effects. One patient, after years of inner work, developed such profound calm that her previously chaotic family began organizing itself around her presence. She became the still center that allowed everyone else to find their own balance, not through effort or intervention, but through the simple power of integrated presence. So, let me connect all of this, because Jung's insight here is revolutionary. The calm that makes people nervous isn't a technique you learn. It's not breathing exercises or meditation apps or positive thinking. It's what naturally emerges when you stop being at war with yourself. When you integrate your shadow instead of rejecting it, you have nothing left to defend against. When you accept all parts of yourself, you can't be triggered by seeing those parts in others. When you've faced your own chaos, you can be calm in anyone else's storm. This kind of calm is unsettling because it breaks all the unconscious agreements we have about how humans should interact. We're supposed to trigger each other. We're supposed to be reactive. We're supposed to join each other's drama. When you don't play along, it exposes the whole game. Your calm becomes a mirror that shows people their own inner state. And while that makes some people nervous, defensive, even hostile, it also becomes a beacon for those ready to find their own peace. The question isn't whether you can develop this calm. Jung proved anyone can through inner work. The question is whether you're willing to face everything in yourself that isn't calm. Whether you're willing to integrate your shadow, confront your complexes, and make peace with your whole self. Here's what I need you to understand. The world doesn't need more fake calm. We have plenty of people pretending to be Zen while they're dying inside. We have enough spiritual bypassing, enough suppression, enough surface-level serenity. What the world needs is people who've done the real work, who've faced their darkness and found light, who've integrated their chaos and found peace, who've accepted their whole selves and found genuine calm. This kind of calm changes everything. It changes how you show up in relationships, no longer needing others to regulate your emotions. It changes how you handle conflict, no longer getting pulled into every drama. It changes how you navigate life, no longer controlled by unconscious patterns and reactions. But more than that, it changes everyone around you. Your calm becomes permission for others to find their own. Your integration becomes an invitation for others to integrate. Your peace becomes a possibility others didn't know existed. Yes, some people will be made nervous by your calm. They'll try to trigger you, provoke you, pull you into their chaos. That's okay. Their nervousness is just showing you their own inner war. Your job isn't to join them in battle. It's to remain the calm presence that demonstrates another way is possible. Remember, every moment of genuine calm in a chaotic world is an act of revolution. Every non-reaction in a reactive culture is a statement of freedom. Every integrated presence in a fragmented society is a beacon of hope. The calm that makes people nervous isn't about being better than others. It's about being whole within yourself. And that wholeness, that integration, that genuine peace, it's the most powerful force for transformation that exists. Jung knew this. He lived it. And he showed us the path to find it ourselves. If you're ready to develop this kind of unshakable calm, subscribe to this channel where I break down Jung's deepest insights into practical transformation. And watch the video on your screen now about shadow work. I'll show you exactly how to integrate the parts of yourself you've been rejecting. Remember, the calm that makes others nervous isn't about perfection. It's about integration. And that journey starts with facing everything in yourself you've been avoiding.